All right, in this video, I'm going to walk through the energy efficient home improvement credit. Um, and then before I kind of go into that, I'm going to quickly walk through the difference between a credit and a deduction. I'm not going to go in depth. This video is going to be maybe 5, 6 minutes. So let's go back to our example here of Ferris and Sloan. And here's the difference of a deduction and a credit. So they have wages, they had some other income. Their total adjusted gross income is 404. This is before any deductions and credits, okay? If we were just to stop there, they had no deductions, and we were to stop there, this amount would be subject to tax to calculate what their tax is, okay? But they did have deductions, right? They had property taxes, they had a home mortgage interest, they contributed to charitable organizations. And I'll give examples in another video of deductions. But these deductions, what they do is they reduce this adjusted gross income to come up with this amount right here, this 369. And this amount is going to be used to calculate the tax for the year, okay? And that tax is what they're going to owe. And then after you calculate the tax, right, the 79,000, then you kind of factor in what did they withhold from their W-2s, so what did they already pay in? And then you also kind of factor in like credits. So that's what deductions do. It kind of reduces your adjusted gross income to calculate what the tax is going to be. Now what credits do is, all right, here's the tax. Here's what was withheld, right? So you've already paid this in. So now you owe $35,000. What a credit does is it further reduces what you owe the IRS. So it reduces that tax. So credits are very valuable. So in this one, we're going to go through the energy efficient one. So in 2021, this energy efficient or energy improvement credit ended. Then came along this Inflation Act and they extended it to 2022. So the extension basically carried over the prior year rules, which consisted of a $500 lifetime credit, right? So if you use this credit and you used all the credits in prior years, you can't do anything in 2022 here. If you purchase windows, right, and you spent, $100,000 on windows, even though the 10% of the cost, that's what the old rules were, or the current rules for 2022. If you spent, $20,000 on windows, your credit for the windows could only be $200. So that's 2022. So if you bought anything that was energy efficient in 2022, I'd start kind of gathering those receipts. And I'll show you this in Ferris's tax return, but let me just go through the rest here. So starting next year in 2023, they extended it. So it's like a new rule, and the new name of the rule is called the Energy Efficient Home Improvement Credit. Starts January 1st, 2023. It goes until December 31st, 2032. Okay. So instead of 10% of cost, it's 30% of cost, but your annual limit now is $1,200, right? And it restarts again for the next year. So remember, the old rule in 2021 and 2022 was $500 lifetime credit. So if you used it, and you use that $500, you're done. You can't do anything with it. But with this new rule, your annual limit is $1,200. So if you're planning on some projects and you're buying some energy efficient stuff for your home, maybe you plan it, right? So you get this $1,200 per year. Unfortunately, if you're putting on a new roof, air fans, those do not apply under this new rule, again, starting in 2023. Now, the annual credit limit, so even though the annual credit is $1,200, then you got to look at each individual item that you're buying here. So like windows, right? The credit limit per year is $600. Exterior doors, it's $250 for the first door, and then if you're replacing like 3 doors, the max is $500. Now on this $1,200 annual limit, fortunately that doesn't apply to like heat pumps, water heaters, because you can get a $2,000 limit there. So this rule again applies through 2032, but for 2023 and 2024, all you need to do is just tell the IRS how much you spent. But starting in 2025, the manufacturers are going to give you an ID when you buy something, and you have to put that ID on your tax return in order to get the credit. So let's go back to Ferris and Sloan here. Okay, so they owe $35,071. Well, just say they bought some windows, right? They spent, let's see here. Let's go to the windows. They spent $40,000 on windows, okay, in 2021. So here's what they originally owed, okay? And then after kind of showing this $40,000 of window purchases, now they owe $34,868. Now you can see here, this did not decrease by $40,000, right? Because the old rule capped windows at a certain amount. It was just a couple $100. But you can see here the impact of a credit, right? So a credit reduces your tax liability. But again, for tax planning purposes, you got to keep in mind, there's caps here on these credits. So, if you're buying energy efficient stuff for tax purposes, you want to make sure that you're planning this accordingly. And that's why I said, going back to this new rule that starts in 2023, your lifetime or your annual limit is capped at $1,200, which is a lot better than the lifetime credit from prior years. So hopefully this helps, but I'm going to show you some more credits that you're going to be eligible for, and I'm going to go back to this difference between deductions and credits.